The Holy Gospel, according to St. John, the 15th chapter. Listen now for what the Spirit is saying to the church. Jesus said, "As the Father has loved me, so I have loved you. Abide in my love. If you keep my commandments, you will abide in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commandments and abide in his love. I have said these things to you so that my joy may be in you, and that your joy may be complete. This is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. No one has greater love than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. And you are my friends, if you do what I command you. I do not call you servants any longer, because the servant does not know what the master is doing. But I have called you friends, because I have made known to you everything that I have heard from my Father. You did not choose me, but I chose you. And I appointed you to go and bear fruit that will last, so that the Father will give you whatever you ask in my name. I'm giving you these commands so that you may love one another." The Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, Christ. You know, as Christians, sometimes we get this rap for being frou-frou and like to wear flowers around our heads and talk about peace and joy and love. Kind of like, what is that religious order that's always at the airport giving out flowers? Hare Krishnas. Yeah, so there's one aspect where Christians are almost called Hare Krishnas, because we are talking a lot about love and joy and peace and nonviolence and sticking up for the underdog. And then there's other forms of Christianity, probably that's most known, which is the complete opposite. Have you seen that? Yeah, fire and brimstone, exactly what I grew up in, and I know that Don Elliott has experience in that. Fire and brimstone, where it's about not so much a relationship with God, but it's about keeping the rules. Keeping the rules, to keep the commandments. Do everything exactly right so that you will not be punished. Do everything right so that you will get the Mercedes-Benz. Do everything right so that you will be blessed. Do everything right so that you and your generations and your children's generations and their children will not be cursed by God. In fact, if you do it exactly as the pastor says, even better. Remember, my birthday's coming. There's a lot of talk about love and Christian love. And I think we banter it around and we talk about it a lot. And I think it's difficult for us to really, truly understand what that love means. I mean, you can tell somebody that you love them, but at the same time do despicable, mean, harmful, destructive things to them. Is that the kind of love that Jesus is talking about? Is that the kind of love that is supposed to be the abiding love that we as Christians are supposed to be resting in and living in, that's supposed to be part of who we are, our bone and our marrow? Is that the kind of love that Jesus is talking about? There's the kind of love that you can say, I love you, if Have you ever been in a relationship where it's a I love you if? Have you ever been the one that say, I will love you if? I know at one point in my life, I had a girlfriend in college, and it was my freshman year, and I was flunking out. And she said that if I wanted to date her, continue dating her, I needed to get my act together. But she did not say, I love you if. She said, I love you, and I want to stay with you. I want to abide with you. There is a difference, is there not? What other kinds of love have we experienced? Have you ever experienced the kind of love? The love of a parent. The love of a parent that this child comes into your life, either flesh of your flesh or adopted, or just a child that is part of your environment. I mean, we have a lot of children in this church that I have no relationship to other than they're members of this church. What kind of love does a parent have? Feel free to shout it out. Would you give your life for that child? Yes. You do everything in your power to make sure that that child knows what it means to be loved. And how do you show that love? There are rules. Help guide them, hug them, tell them that you love them. Do everything you can to make sure that that child experiences what it means to be loved. And not any kind of love, but a love that is unconditional. Because it is your child. It is part, he or she, they are part of you. And if you love yourself, you love your child. And if you love your child, you love yourself. Then there's the kind of love, the love of friends. Well, that's kind of a tier. If they ask you to move, I'm not sure I love you that much. Maybe. I don't know. But there's the love of a friend. A love of a really good friend. A friend that is almost like a brother or a sister. They're almost like family. They know you just as well as you know your own self. That is a friend that is for a lifetime. That is a friend that is born of the Spirit of God that comes into your life to abide with you, to love you, and to be a partner with you. And you also may end up marrying them. Who knows? So that is a kind of friend. And then there is the kind of love that all of the romance novels are about. In the Greek, the Greeks had, they talked about love, they had different kinds of love. As I've just been saying, the familial love, the friendship love, and then this eros. Eros. It's what you see on television. It's the Game of Thrones. It's this exoticness. It is the passion and the fire. It's the kind of the lustful that everybody just salivates around. Yeah, we're not going to talk about that today. But it's important. It's part of it's part of who we are as humans. And God has blessed it as well. So what is the kind of love that Jesus is talking about in the gospel today? This love that as he has gathered his disciples together, his students, and he has had this relationship with them for a long time where he is the master, he is the rabbi, and they are the students. They are his underlings. But he doesn't say that today. In this particular reading of the gospel, which is right before he goes to the cross, right before he raises from the dead, right before he appears to the disciples, the apostles, when he comes to them and shows them his hands and his feet and the gash in his side, where he tells them, I'm not a ghost, I'm here, I am new, I have raised from the dead to give you good news. this gospel reading is before all of that. And what does Jesus call those that are gathered with him on that fateful night? He calls them friends. The kind of friend that will give up their life for another. The kind of friend that says, we may not have the same parents, but God, my Father, Jesus says, is our parent, so that we are also family. We are family and we are friends. And then there's the Spirit. Passion, the fiery heat, as we will see at Pentecost, of the Spirit, the Holy Spirit that comes and alights within us, that combines and connects us all. That Spirit that St. Teresa of Avila said is like a torch, fiery hot within our souls, passionate for God, passionate and moving us to love as God loves us. What kind of God do we have? Kind of God that is so passionate and creative, we have been created. A God that loves so much that that love could not be contained in the universe, that it had to be creative. That it created us and called us good, that called us to be children of God, and came to us in Jesus, the Christ, the Anointed One, the Risen One, who said to us that we are also brothers and sisters. Do you see this kind of love that Jesus is talking about? This kind of love that is interconnected, it's symbiotic, this kind of love that is passion, this kind of love that moves us, this kind of love that is creative, this kind of love that crosses boundaries, this kind of love that breaks down walls. Not even death, the greatest wall of all, can hold us back from each other. Not even death can separate us from the love of God. This is the kind of love that is rooted and knitted into our being, into our nature. It is the kind of love that all of us seek and desire and need. We need love like that, just like we need air, just like we need water. We need love to survive and to thrive. It is the sunlight, as we are part of the vine, attached to Christ. But as we walk out these doors today and we go and mingle among our brothers and sisters who may not know that we are brothers and sisters, we walk along and go to restaurants and civic centers, and maybe even our own homes and our workplaces, and there are people there that we can see and we've experienced that they don't know this kind of love. They walk this earth empty, shrouded in a darkness like a petunia that hasn't seen the light of sun. There are people that are out there that out of their life experiences have never experienced the kind of love that I talked about just a minute ago, parental love that gives themselves, a parent gives themselves to their children unconditionally, a kind of love that loves no matter what. There are parents out there that have a transactional relationship with their children. I love you if. Those people walk this world. They don't know what that kind of love is. There are people out there that walk this world that never have the kind of the relationship of a friend, a true friend, a friend that abides with them, that walks with them, a friend that will give their life for them, a friend that you can call up and say, hey, I'm moving tomorrow, will you be there? And they say yes. That's a real friend. A friend that will pick you up from the hospital, that will drop everything. A friend that they will give up something that has to do with their family, which is always a first priority. They will give that up, which is like life itself. They will do that for this friend because this friend is like a brother or sister. And they are family. That kind of love. There are people out there that never know that kind of love of a friend. And of course, there are those that have been hurt by people that they said, I love you, and they were not loved back. Hurt by somebody who said, I love you, but then their actions and their words and everything was completely opposite of what the kind of love that Jesus is talking about. We have wounded people. We have brothers and sisters in this world of God, brothers and sisters through God that walk this earth and have never experienced that kind of love. And so what is our responsibility as Christians? What is the commandment that Jesus has gave us? If we want to abide in Him, if we truly love Him, then what naturally, not because we have to, what naturally will we be doing? Any guesses? Love one another. Love one another as I have loved you. This is the commandment. This is the teaching. This is the foundation of who we are as followers of Christ. For Christ is love incarnate, made flesh. And all of us who have passed through the waters of baptism and share of the bread and the cup, the body and blood of Christ, we testify that we as Christians, that is who we are. And as Pastor Katie said, we have no boundaries. Sometimes that doesn't sound good, but it means that we will love any and everyone. We don't care race, creed, language. We don't care politics. There's nothing that should divide us from one another in loving each other as Christ loves each and every one of us. There is that old hymn, the old spiritual hymn, that talks a lot about love and what it means to be a Christian. It was sung at civil rights marches because in the civil rights marches that it was a testimony that there should be nothing that separates us from each other. We should not construct laws and customs that says you're in, you're out because of the color of your skin. What is that hymn? That hymn? What is that spiritual? Does anybody remember it? They will know that we are Christians by our love. How many of you know that? Can you sing it? Let me hear you.
We are one in the Spirit, we are one in the Lord. We are one in the Spirit, we are one in the Lord. And they'll know we are unity, will one day be restored. And they'll know we are Christians by our love, and they'll know we are Christians by our love.
And so may it be. Live your day, live your week, live every moment of your life with that hymn, that spiritual reminding you to love, so that we may be known for our love, and that all that God desires that the reconciliation that God is doing will be complete through us as we love. All praise, honor, and glory be to you, O Christ.